Sad iti eva abhitite. Steadfastness in sacrifice, penance, gift is also called sat, and so also any action for such purposes is called sat. Shri Krishna tells Arjuna that steadfastness in yagna, which literally means sharing, dan, donations, and tap, austerities, is also called sat. We should think about this a little. When we're at yagnas and performing yagnas, then the steadfastness at the time of performing the yagna is the steadfastness of sat. The steadfastness at the time of performing tap, austerities, is the steadfastness of sat, and the steadfastness at the time of giving dan, donations, is called the steadfastness of sat. All these three are experiences. When a person is performing a yagna with faith, then his steadfastness at the time, including steadfastness of the body, steadfastness of the mind, and the circumstances around him, are all sat. It is an eternal steadfastness. The steadfastness of sat is when time and place fall away, and when the deformities of the mind fall away. This is a state of sat. If a person is performing a yagna according to the scriptural laws with faith, then at that time they have no awareness of place, no awareness of time, and no awareness of what is happening around them. All the deformities of the mind, including kam, lust, growth, anger, lobh, greed, more, delusion, mud, pride, and matsar, envy, go away. This steadfastness is a steadfastness of sat. That is why whenever we perform a satkarma, divine act, then we get a lot of bliss. If we hold a Satyanarayana discourse every 6 months or 9 months, then it feels very good. We feel like we should do it every month. The fact that we do not do it is another thing, but whenever we do it, then we feel as if we should do it over and over again. We get a lot of bliss from it. After one listens to a discourse for 7 days, and then they think they've reached the state of sat, then there are very few people who can continue this. This is because this is a gnan, wisdom yagna. This is a state of a yagna. The steadfast of this tap, austerity, is also the steadfastness of sat. If I were to tell you one thing about the state of sat psychologically, then you do not have a complaint towards the situation. This is the state of sat. You have no complaint towards the state. If you look at it one way, then in the whole world there is one God, and we human beings are all incomplete because all human beings have something or the other that is incomplete about them. At the state in which we forget that incompleteness of ours, and we begin to experience completeness, this is the state of sat, and this experience is best during at least 3 times, during yagna, tap, austerities, and dan, donations. That is why we feel near God. We feel that, Lord, I am close to you. This is tap, austerities. You may be at a Gita discourse today, and this is a tap, austerity. If somebody tells us to sit down at home for 2 days, 2 hours, then we sit down? No, we won't sit down. But we sit down for example, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day, and this is a tap, austerity. That is why it is called satsang, proximity with the eternal. The word sat also comes in satsang. Satsang is proximity with the eternal, and that in whose proximity, gaining which, we experience the truth of sat residing within us, and experience closeness with the truth of sat residing within us. This is satsang. The word sat is of a lot of importance. Wherever sat comes in any word such as satpurush, great person, satsang, holy discourse, satkarma, divine acts, satvichar, divine thoughts, then one thing will remain the same in all of these things, which is that over there a human being forgets all his faults, forgets all his deformities, forgets his smallness, forgets his incompleteness, gets closer to the complete, and gets closer to the Supreme Soul. At the end, Shri Krishna says that any action that is performed tadartham for God is called sat. Om tat sat. Om, of course, is the pranav mantra, but everything that is done for tat, Brahman, is sat. Therefore, this is a very simple and straightforward definition. Whenever we are performing any action, then we should ask who we are performing it for. There are 2 words, madartham for me and tadartham for God. Those actions we are performing for ourselves, and where there's a lot of madartham for me, etc., are not satkarma. I will not say that wrong actions, and we would not become judgmental, but the Gita says that you cannot call them satkarma. The reason for this is that they are not for sat and they are not for tadartham for God. They are everyday actions that are to be performed to run one's life and to fulfill their roles in life. This is fine, but they are not satkarma, divine acts. What are satkarma? They are actions performed tadartham for God. All actions performed tadartham for God are called sat. Now you should decide how many satkarma you perform every day in your life. How many actions are you performing for God every day? If you only perform them during the middle of the year, then this would not work. You should ask every day that, Lord, how many actions did I perform for you every day? You should form a habit by starting at the beginning, by saying that, Lord, I will perform at least one action for you. There will absolutely be no mother tongue for me in this, and I do not want anything. I do not want wealth. I do not want fame. I do not want respect. I do not want power. I do not want punya. I do not even want heaven. I am just performing this action for you. These are actions performed tadatam for God. And if one is able to perform such actions tadatam for God, then they will experience what sat is. The question that Arjun asked in the first verse was described in this whole chapter, and now in the last verse of this chapter, God will give the answer to the question. Verse 28.